class. It was the deadline for those players to sign the rookie extensions after their rookie contracts at the end of the 2025 season. So we saw a bunch of deals go down, and 11 first-round picks from the 2021 draft signed extensions this offseason, and we're going to be grading every single one today. Like always, let me know if you agree or disagree with what I say, or give me your grades for these contract extensions down below. So we're going to start off with the #1 overall pick, Kade Cunningham, who signed his rookie max extension earlier this offseason, a 5-year deal worth $224 million for the #1 overall pick from this draft class. Kade was coming off the best year of his career so far. It was unfortunate that the Detroit Pistons were by far the worst team in the NBA last season, but it wasn't because of Kade Cunningham. Kade has shown linear progression each year of his career, even though he had a banged up sophomore year in 2023, where he only played in 12 games. But last year, Kade shot 45% from the field, 36% from 3 on 5 attempts a night. He was an elite free throw shooter, got to the line a decent amount as well, and averaged 23 points, 7.5 assists, and 4 rebounds for the worst team in the NBA. I'm going to give this extension an A. It's pretty much what you were going to give Kade Cunningham, the max extension. Obviously, if it was anything less than this, it could have gotten an A+, but I'm still super high on Kade Cunningham. This may be a hot take, but I would still take him #1 overall in a 2021 redraft. And I'm very excited this year to watch Kade Cunningham have the best year of his career with Jaden Ivey in that backcourt under a new and better head coach for this team in JB Bickerstaff. Monty Williams is long gone. Brought in veterans like Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley. They're not going to make this team that much better, but it should provide an easier offensive flow for Kade Cunningham as the #1 option on this team. This contract doesn't kick in until the 2026 season, where he's going to be 25% of the cap, and then it goes down over time. He'll be making $51 million in 2030, the last year of this deal, and that's projected to be 22.5% of their team's cap space. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to give this an A grade, and I would have gave Kade Cunningham this deal myself. Next up, we're going to talk about a deal that was one of its kind, something we've never seen from a rookie extension before, and that was Jaylen Green re-signing with the Houston Rockets on a 3-year extension worth $106 million that's guaranteed for the first 2 years, but he has a $37 million player option at the end of the 2028 season. And I think this was a great contract extension for Jaylen Green and a little bit less for the Houston Rockets. I'm going to give this a B grade. Now, I still think Jaylen Green can live up to the #2 overall pick hype that he had going into this draft, but from what we've seen so far, there's been a little bit less production than you've seen from somebody like Kade Cunningham. Jaylen Green has been a massive inconsistent player throughout the first 3 years of this rookie contract. Last year, he was not good outside the month of March. But what's crazy, in the month of March, he looked like he could be an all-NBA caliber player. In that month, he averaged 27 points, 6 rebounds, and shot 49% from the field and 41% from 3. But all the other months, he either shot 43% from the field, 42%, 38%, 37%. He was wildly inefficient from the field and from 3. He did not look like a good defender whatsoever outside of the month of March. So I don't know what happened to Jaylen Green in that month of March, and if he plays that well throughout the course of the next 2 years, he's going to opt out of that 3rd year regardless. But if he doesn't play like that, he's obviously going to opt into that 3rd year, and you're going to feel like that's an overpay. So I think there's a lot of risk here for Houston, but I still believe in Jaylen Green as a player. That's why I'm going to give this a B. So this year is definitely going to be interesting to watch from Jaylen Green, and somebody we'll get to in a little bit in Houston. Next up, we're going to talk about Evan Mobley, who, like Kade Cunningham, got that rookie max extension. So he's going to get $38 million this year, and it's going to go up each and every year to $51 million in 2030. And it's that 5-year, $224 million contract extension. Now, I'm going to give this contract extension, the moment it happened, a B-. Evan Mobley is still an incredible defensive player. He finished 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year voting last year at the end of the 2023 season when he was a sophomore in this league. Last year, though, it looks like he took a little bit of a step back. The offense definitely didn't look like it was on that trajectory that we saw at the end of season #2. Him and Jarrett Allen in that front court do not seem like they coexist well together sometimes in that half court, and it definitely limits Evan Mobley's offensive ceiling if his mid-range isn't going to progress or his outside shot. But when Jarrett Allen was hurt in the playoffs against the Boston Celtics, we saw how effective Evan Mobley could be as the center. And now that the Cavs also re-signed Jarrett Allen this offseason for a few more years, I don't know if we're ever going to see Evan Mobley reach that Celtics series offensive potential that we saw in round 2. He averaged 15.5 points last year. He shot 58% from the field. He's still a really good defender, but he also missed 32 games last year. He's still incredibly young. The only way that I think this contract goes wrong if they can never tap into that potential because of the awkward fit with Jared Allen in that front court. That's why I'm giving it a B-. So next up, we're going to talk about Scotty Barnes, and I'm going to give this contract extension an F. Did I get you there? Did I get you there? I know a lot of people think that I hate Scotty Barnes and the Raptors. I did rank him pretty low in my top 50 rankings. I'll admit that, but I'm giving this contract extension an A. He got that full rookie max that Kade Cunningham and Evan Mobley got. 5 years, $224 million. And I think Scotty Barnes is definitely going to be worth this contract. I know I said I'd take Kade Cunningham #1 overall in a redraft, but if it's not Kade, it's Scotty Barnes for me because of how balanced he is as a player right now. He was an all-star last year. He averaged 20 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds, and shot 48% from the field. Even 34% from 3 on 5 attempts a night is great development for Scotty Barnes, for someone that shot looked so broken when he was in Florida State and his first 2 years in the NBA. And in the preseason, he has looked phenomenal. He looks calm, he looks cool in the half court, and the game is just slowing down for him. His vision inside the half court has also looked great. He averaged 6 assists per game last season. I think he's going to average more this year, and he's a plus defender as well, and he can do a little bit of everything. I don't know if he's going to be a #1 on a championship team one day, but it doesn't really matter. With this contract extension here, I do think it's going to age well in Toronto. That's why I'm giving it an A. So next up, it's going to be Jaylen Suggs, who was the 5th overall pick from this draft. Everybody here in the top 5 got a rookie extension. Goes to show you how good this draft class has been, even though it hasn't really had a Victor Wembanyama elite player from it so far. But for Jaylen Suggs, he ended up getting a 5-year, $150 million extension from the Orlando Magic, around $70 million less than what these other guys have gotten, at least in Kade, Scotty, and Mobley. I'm going to give it a B+. Now, a reason why I'm not going to give it an A is I wonder how Suggs is going to look back to being the starting point guard for them this season. As the lead ball handler in the backcourt, we saw how rocky that was for him in his first 2 seasons, but as an off-ball #2 last year, he excelled in that 3-and-D shooting guard role. So I do wonder how that's going to age this year, but on the bright side, that's why I'm giving this a B+ and not lower than that. This contract extension doesn't kick in till the 2026 season. So I think Suggs is going to play like that elite complementary piece to Franz, somebody we'll get to in a little bit, and Paolo Banchero in Orlando, and show that somebody that's going to be making $35 million in year 1, and then it's going to descend over time to $24 million in 2030, and that is a team option. Just goes to show you how good this contract extension is for Jaylen Suggs. He's going to be making just 10% of the team's cap space in 2030 if they pick up that $24 million team option. And I think by then too, we could see Jaylen Suggs replacing like Derek White or Drew Holiday in that role on Team USA in the Olympics. That's how high I am on Jaylen Suggs. So yeah, we're going to talk about Franz Wagner now, who did get the full rookie max extension like Kade, Scotty, and Evan Mobley. He got 5 years, $224 million. I don't love this as much as I did for Kade or for Barnes as I do for Franz Wagner, because he's the #2 option in Orlando, and they gave him the max. So I don't know why they had to do that this offseason. I wonder if they could have just waited a year, like what happened with Tyrese Maxey. And there were concerns with Franz Wagner's shot last year, where he shot 28% from 3 on decent volume. Teams were able to leave him wide open down the stretch towards the end of the regular season and in the playoffs. But I still think that Franz Wagner got better last year. He got better with his playmaking, his on and off ball defense, his ball handling, and his ability to attack the rim. I just would like to see that if that shot is broken, maybe be a little hesitant on that contract extension, but Orlando must believe that it's going to go back to what it was in the 2023 season. And you're paying max money for the #2 option. You're going to have to give Paolo Banchero this contract and even more when the cap goes up next summer. So I think it's just a little bit too much for somebody that's going to be your #2 option long term. And that's just what's holding it back from an A- or an A. I'm still very high on Franz Wagner. I would have gave him this contract myself. It's just the way the NBA is now. So a surprising contract extension that I didn't think was going to happen was the last pick in the lottery, Moses Moody. He signed a 3-year, $39 million contract extension with Golden State, which is going to be $12 million in 2026, $13 million in 2027, and $14 million in 2028. That makes up 7.5% of their team's total cap that year. And you could say that Moses Moody has been disappointing, but I'm actually a big fan of this extension for them. Now, maybe Moody doesn't develop this year, and then you're kind of stuck with this contract for the following 3 years, but I do believe in Moses Moody and this team going forward under Steve Kerr, because I saw progression with his outside shot last year. Last year, in 3 attempts a night, he shot 36% from 3. The free throw shot got better, and I thought he showed promise as a rebounder as well in the half court. Moody did not play well in the month of February, but in the month of January, he shot 53% from three. Month of March, he shot 36% from three, and a smaller sample size in April, he shot 46% from three. And obviously, he's going to get a ton of open looks playing next to Steph Curry in this Warriors offense. And at worst, this becomes a trade asset down the line for Golden State. So yeah, I'm going to give this a contract extension for them, a B+. Yeah, this is going to be the first A+ contract extension. I'm giving it to Corey Kispert of the Washington Wizards, who signed a 4-year extension worth $54 million. I think Washington has done a great job with some of these rookie extensions in the past, like the Denny of D-Hop contract they gave out a few years ago, even though they traded him this offseason. It was a phenomenal deal. Kispert's going to be making $14 million when this extension kicks in 2026. Then it's still $14 million in 2027. $13 million in 2028 and in 2029. And in that 2029 season, he's got a $13 million team option. That makes up 6.3% of the team's total cap space. And last year, Corey Kispert was one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA and has been since his sophomore year. Last year, he shot 38% from three on 6 attempts a night, averaged 13.5 points, and I think does a phenomenal job as an off-ball player, knows where to be in the half court, and does a great job cutting and slashing in this Wizards offense. And I think it's going to be a very good player alongside Alex Sarr, Jonas Valanciunas, and Bilal Coulibaly, and those other guys like Kuzma and Jordan Poole this year in Washington. And it's going to just turn into a premier trade asset as well. If the Wizards feel like he's going to fall into the Denny of Diop bucket, maybe capitalize on his value being the highest next offseason, he's going to net them a great return. So the Rockets locked up their two guys from the 2021 draft class. They re-signed Alperen Sengun. Pretty much was a buzzer beater at the deadline as well, where he signed a 5-year, $185 million contract extension. That's getting an A+ from me. The fact that Sengun took less than the max to stay with the Rockets, where if he played like he did last year, was definitely getting the rookie max next offseason. He's going to be making less than Kade Cunningham, Scotty Barnes, Franz Wagner, and Evan Mobley. And when you talk about guys that would go top 3 in a redraft, Sengun is definitely in those conversations. And the Rockets got him back for 5 years, $185 million. $31 million in year one in 2026. It's going to send over time to $42 million in 2030, where that is going to be a player option. But Sengun last year was one of the best players at the center position. He averaged 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists, and shot 53% from the field, and helped bring their Rockets to their best record since they traded away James Harden. There were some interesting numbers that the Rockets kind of played better when he got hurt down the stretch, which I'm not really going to buy into too much. I think this team can exceed with Alperen Sengun being the main offensive hub, and getting him back on less than the rookie max, A+ for me. The Pelicans locked up one of the best non-lottery draft picks from this class, Trey Murphy, when they re-signed him to a 4-year, $112 million extension. I'm a little bit lower on this one compared to some of these other deals. I'm going to give it a B- like Evan Mobley's. Now, I love Trey Murphy, and I think a lot of us do, and we think he could be a great 3-and-D wing for this team going forward. I just don't know if that opportunity is going to happen with this current Pelicans core, because they have Brandon Ingram. We don't know what's happening with him. They invested a lot into Herb Jones, who was from this draft class. Obviously, Zion Williamson traded for DeJounte Murray. Still are paying CJ McCollum a ton of money as well. And Murphy averaged 15 points per game last year, shot 44% from the field and 38% from three. I thought was a little bit more inconsistent than I thought he was going to be with that volume, but he was banged up, and unfortunately is going to be banged up to start off this season as well. But I think he has super high potential. I just don't know if he's going to tap into that with this current Pelicans roster. That's why I'm just a little skeptical about this extension right now, because I don't know how the Pelicans are going to construct this roster till 2029 when this contract expires, and they haven't really been the best team since the Anthony Davis trade. I feel like they haven't really reached their potential with their young core so far, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how much volume Murphy gets in and year out of this deal. And the last contract extension that happened here in the first round is going to be Jaylen Johnson, who signed a 5-year, $150 million extension with the Atlanta Hawks. It is $30 million every single year from 2026 to 2030. And it is wild that $30 million in 2030 is going to be just 13% of your team's total cap space. I'm giving this extension an A+. I am very high on Jaylen Johnson. I think he can get most improved player votes once again this year. Now that DeJounte Murray's in New Orleans, there's going to be even more opportunity for Jaylen Johnson to be the number 2 scorer on this team. And last year, he really broke out fully. 51% from the field, 36% from 3, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1.2 steals. He was a great two-way player for Atlanta, and he's still just 22 years old. And after how disappointing his freshman year was at Duke and how disappointing his rookie year was for the Atlanta Hawks, the last year and a half for Jaylen Johnson has been incredible, and it's really cool to see him earn this extension. And him and Trae Young could be legitimate building blocks for this Atlanta Hawks team going forward. So guys like Miles McBride, Herb Jones, and Ida Dosunmu were second-round picks from this draft class, and they signed extensions over the last 2 calendar years, and these teams have done a great job. So shout out to New York, New Orleans, and Chicago getting those 3 on steals of deals. And then it's interesting to see the guys that didn't go sign. Josh Giddey in Chicago, Jonathan Kuminga, the big one in Golden State, Trey Mann in Charlotte, Quentin Grimes in Dallas, Isaiah Jackson in Indiana, and Cam Thomas in Brooklyn all went unsigned and are going to be restricted free agents at the end of this season. So we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on them. Would they get traded this season? Are they going to be on different teams at the start of the 2026 season? We'll have to wait and see. So that is going to be it for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a thumbs up if you did. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about some of these extensions. NBA tip-off is here. I'm so excited the 2025 season is finally upon us. So make sure you are subscribed for all NBA content all season long, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.